I've had some people say to me that the cross-functional nature of pricing communication, the executive nature of pricing communication that is required to drive a really strong pricing muscle or practice within a business is the hardest part of the job. I'm curious to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think, pricing, I see ourselves as a bridge, right? We connect with finance, marketing, sales. So each of those departments has different priorities and different incentives. So how do you align their interests, come up with a pricing proposal that benefits everyone? And, it's not an easy task. So to do that well, I think at the very core of it, it's communication. Firstly, you need to be an active listener so that you get to know what they care about. And then once you know what they care about, then you can start trying to align everyone's interest. So yeah, most of the time, it's never a price points problem. It's always trying to figure out what they are trying to achieve and how you could use pricing as a lever to help them to achieve their goal.
What about tools that you've picked up, to become a better communicator, a more persuasive communicator?
The pyramid principle,
love that
for
one.
me, that's really for me the Bible, and I love it because it really highlights how important having a good foundation is. And to me, the foundation here is always be clear about what problem you're trying to solve, so that when you talk to your stakeholders, you can always present the solution. So I would say for me, in terms of tool, that's probably a good tool to have. Just always have this structure framework, because most of the time people come to us, but they don't necessarily have a clear problem statement in their head, right? So it is through this conversation and discussion we help them to uncover what the real problem is. And once we're there, then it's much easier to come up with a solution rather than just attributing every problem as a price point problem. I think having a structured framework to define the problem statement is very important.
And you're describing Barbara Minto's pyramid principle. And I am a self-proclaimed Barbara Minto fanboy and complete evangelist. So I'm right there with you. I think for me, it has been probably the single most important tool. For those listeners who don't know what it is, the pyramid principle, can you break it down and help people understand what it really is, what it's all about?
So basically, it's a structural framework for effective communication. And if you imagine like a pyramid, which kind of looks like this, right? So the idea is to always present the most important idea, and that kind of goes on top of the pyramid. And then you can have a second layer, which are your supporting arguments to support why you come up with that recommendation. And if you want, you can go a layer down, where at the bottom you will present fact or visuals, whatever, to support the points you made in the second layer.
One of the benefits of this structure is it allows you to align on the problem that you're trying to solve, which is such a common mistake where we're speaking past each other. So we might actually be like, I'm thinking about a different problem than you are. Therefore, our kind of emotional, psychological, intellectual response to the provided answer is way off because we haven't even been on the same page about the problem to begin with.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think in the book, they also talk about situation, complication, resolution, right? And situation basically is like the now, right? The context, the fact, everything that's happening now. And the complication is something that changes this equilibrium. And then because of that, you need to come up with a solution. I think a lot of the times, especially when it comes to business, you will be facing with like so many different facts and information. And to define what is really the situation and what is the trigger point that you have to take some action becomes really blurred. So just by getting everyone on board, like sit together and sort of like go through that exercise really helps to sort of like craft out the problem statement before jumping into looking for the solution.